So, I already messed up earlier today. So I'm hoping I don't mess up again. But I'm a little burnt out on taking pictures of ghosts. I don't want to do that again for a moment, so I'm debating if I'm going to play a different retro game before I play Fatal Frame 3. But in the time that I am debating this, I'm gonna play some other games. So, this is My Friend is a Raven. We don't know much about it, but it looked cool. So we're gonna play it. From the ground of the earth humanity was conceived, and into the soil the ill spirit shall return. I fear that the city will soon fall. I lament, for I have cherished this home. One last time I shall look upon these walls before I speak to the raven. I must find some food to coax him to me. Use A and D to move, and use the mouse to interact with or pick up items. I recall many occasions when my friends and I would sit and visit all night long. What happy memories we made. I like the art style. This is really interesting. Hover over the corner of the screen to view your inventory. Ah! That's cool. Huh. Huh. I don't know what that is. Oh my. What? It's overflowed and so filthy that I doubt anyone would use it. Let's get out of here. I don't know what the fuck I just found. A small vat of ink. Before the newspapers stopped printing, some articles described people poisoning each other using this. That's terrifying. I want away from the flies. What a beautiful vista. Okay. I thought this rat trap to be unusable, but I believe it may still function properly. A large pile of feathers. I am quite unsure how the birds got inside to leave such a mess. The shelves are completely barren. What was that snap? A small piece of paper that reads, "In the face of the noon shadows, you rejected my plea. How I do hope you haven't forgotten." Am I supposed to set the time for noon, maybe? The raven may come if I show myself atop the balcony. What a long arm. Good day, dear Raven. Good day, sir. I could not help myself noticing a delicacy in your hand. May I ask you what a lone soul might be doing, perched upon a building, holding a bag of seeds? These seeds belong to you now, good Raven. Take them, and in return I wish to speak to you of your destructive manner. I accept your offer with vigor, but I would hardly consider myself destructive. I do not view you with the authority to tell such lies. Your kind have descended upon the earth and spread a mortal plague among its people. You have left our homes barren and our cities in ruins. Not a single person lives to share my grief. Poor little man. I could grieve with you. I could comfort you. I could be your friend and sit upon your shoulder when you become torn, but only if you have a gift to give to a sympathetic raven. I have no gift other than your seeds. Pathetic. Jesus. Oh my god. Even now, you have no heart to help another being. Do you truly pity yourself as the last human alive? You should be happy you'll never encounter another man like yourself. I have no tolerance for your antagonism, Raven. Oh! Do you believe that you will be... Oh my god, do you believe that you will... I can't even read this. Do you believe that will give you dominance over me? I have power over you, human, in masses that you cannot fathom. Right? This crow, Jesus! Look at your city. I will do the same to you. Please, Raven, I must know why you have chosen such a path as this. Ah! If you do not know by now, your blindness shall serve you a deserving ladder. Have I failed already? Wow. I unlocked the bad ending. 1 of 4. Damn. That was violent. Alright, well. Clearly. I missed some things. Noon. I fear that this city will soon fall. I lament, for I have cherished this home. One last time I shall look upon these walls before I speak to the raven. I must find some food to coax him to me. I recall many occasions when my friends and I would sit and visit all night long. What happy memories we made. I'm just gonna see what Noon does. It's overflowed and so filthy that I doubt anyone would use it. Small thing of ink before the newspaper said that people were poisoning each other with it. Gotta find another gift for Mr. Cthulhu Crow. If there was anything left inside, it would be very unsafe to consume. Everything in this kitchen spoiled instantly. I thought this rat trap to be unusable, but I believe it may still function properly. A large pile of feathers. I am quite unsure how the birds got inside to leave such a mess. Is there anything? The shelves are completely barren. No nightmare could capture the calamity of these days. A small piece of paper that reads, "In the face of the noon shadows, you rejected my plea. How I do hope you haven't forgotten." Well, I got a dead rat. What a beautiful vista. Oh, I can't touch the clock again. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. How greatly I wish my family could visit me during this time. Oh, there's nothing else for me to look at, so let's go see if Mr. Crow likes the rat. Mr. Crow. Not even the crow, the raven. It's a raven. The raven may come if I show myself atop the balcony. Good day, dear raven. Good day, sir. I could not help myself noticing a delicacy in your hand. May I ask you what a lone soul might be doing perched upon a building holding a bag of seeds? These seeds belong to you now, good raven. Take them, and in return I wish to speak to you of your destructive manner. I accept your offer with vigor, but I would hardly consider myself destructive. I do not view you with the authority to tell such lies. Your kind have descended upon the earth and spread a mortal plague among its people. You have left our homes barren and our cities in ruins. Not a single person lives to share my grief. Poor little man. I could grieve with you. I could comfort you. I could be your friend and sit upon your shoulder when you become torn, but only if you have a gift to give to a sympathetic raven. Indeed, dear raven, I have something that might interest you. I am surprised at your change in heart, but I shall gladly take your gift. We may discover some similarities between ourselves. I find it possible. You have even grown a sort of beak since I last saw you. You could be one of us, lad. I hope we might resolve what differences we have. I believe we shall, for I will be your friend, and keep you from crumbling into the soil of the earth. I thank you. Then let us go. There is so much to show you, my friend. that the good ending? Friends! I got the good ending! I wonder what happens. If I don't grab the seeds. I might go through and replay Tiny Bunny too. Just because this isn't very long. Right past that. I don't know what this is for. Grab that. Come out here. I'm not gonna touch the clock. I'm gonna set this. Come in here. I'm gonna read this. Come back out here. Take that. And yeah. I must have something in my apartment that I could use to attract him. Alright, so you have to get the seeds. However, I didn't set the clock at all either. Not myself noticing the delicacy in your hand. I ask you what a lone soul might be doing perched upon a building holding a bag of seeds. These seeds belong to you now, good raven. Take them, and in return I wish to speak to you. Tell me where is Gandalf, for I much desire to speak with him. I accept your offer with vigor, but it is instructive. Authority to tell such lies. Your kind have descended upon the earth and spread a mortal plague among its people. How dare you! Not a single person lives to share my grief, poor little man. I could grieve with you. I could comfort you. I could be your friend and sit upon your shoulder when you become torn, but only if you have a gift to give for a sympathetic raven. Indeed, dear raven. I have something that might interest you. A dead rat? Slurp slurp? I am surprised at your change in heart. I'll hit the click. But I shall gladly take your gift. We discover similarities in ourselves. Find it possible. Sort of a week since I last saw you. You're one of us, lad. I hope we might resolve and keep you from crumbling into the soil of the earth. I didn't set the clock though. Does the clock not set? Does not change nothing? Then what's the needle for? I think I'm gonna switch back over to Tiny Bunny. And try and get that done again. Where is it? There it is. Alright, welcome to Tiny Bunny. We're gonna do this again. Whoa, whoa. Oh look, I can skip. What? I didn't mean to skip. What? Alright, basically she told me to hide my stuff. I didn't protest and put the book back. The book about Conan the Barbarian aside. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Olya had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic she almost looked like your typical girl from commercials. You're not going anywhere until you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes as if it would make the porridge disappear. Feels weird that I'm starting like right in the middle of things. I don't like this. I want like to start at the beginning. Here we go. Now we're starting at the beginning. Seeing as how earlier I was muted by accident without meaning to. Ha! The wind clawed at my window all night long. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, twined in the air. They were shouting and laughing, and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our house had a mind of its own, the creaky, old mind of a building that had seen a lot of had seen a lot in its days and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with the inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket gazed back with its hollow eyes, rustling, whizzing, swaying back and forth. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves that there was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It's just a play of the light and shadow. Just a play. I knew it was just my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still. Hey, put away your book. How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Look at how slouched you are. I didn't protest and put the book about Conan the Barbarian aside. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Olya had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic she almost looked like your typical girl from the commercials. You're not going anywhere until you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes as if it would make the porridge disappear. Hazy anxiousness welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night, the black forest around our house, and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder, lumpy white substance became. It looked like a jellyfish from the Kostios Odyssey. I love that show. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is. Or how cold the black forest is at night. The spoon fell out of my hand. You just straight up let go. Mom showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes. What did I just say? I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. I felt around for the spoon. What is this carved on the other side of the table? Karina. Ha, that's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She sure was a rascal, damaging the furniture like that. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? No, she's been in a bad mood lately. Imagine her being my age, sitting under this table. I wonder, was Mom afraid of the dark back then? Or the sounds coming from the attic? Or the thick forest? I imagine my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed, where Olya sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, smooth voice. Taiga is a special place, little girl. It's watching you closely, sniffing you out, trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you're a good sort, it won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you under the ground. And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remember listening in on one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She had already bought a casket, and she called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet, patiently. It was black, unupholstered, with meat-colored material on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change since the time she was alive. Only all of the photos were gone. Oh, I need a breath. Glass-covered pictures were with gray faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Olya was done with her cookies, and was looking at my share like a sly woodland critter. I turned my gaze towards the frosted window. There were a lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of frost formed a picture on the glass. It's a fox. It's a little foxy fox. Olya, look, it's a fox. Where? It looked almost like those optical illusion things they put on the back of student notebooks. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision just a little bit and look under a certain angle. No, outside. Not outside, on the window. Look, here's the nose, and here's... Hey, eat up. Yes, just a moment. I don't see anything. Hurry up, there's not much left. Ah, there it is, but it still doesn't look like one. And I'm telling you, it does. Nuh-uh. It does. Stop it, these kids, I swear. Now I couldn't see the fox either. It disappeared. Went away. Only the frosty pattern, similar to stretched out nettle leaves, kept creeping up the glass. My dad entered the kitchen with long, measured steps. I want to have a beard like his when I grow up. Mom would always ask jokingly, "Come on, shave it off, it stings." This was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were an everyday occurrence. Olya always covers her ears whenever she hears something like, "What's the point in all this, though?" through the wall. It's all for your sake. It's all for your sake, Dad would reply, for the sake of your family. I always caught every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that started with a D. Dick! Divolence. I don't know. I don't even want to finish it. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken into two different families. Anyway, your fox is nothing. I have an owl on my window. You and your owl talk again. You said you believed me just yesterday. Has anybody seen my car keys? I remember leaving them on the windowsill. Right. Maybe you did and maybe not. See, this is so antagonistic. Like, you don't have to start shit that way. You can just be like, "Oh, they're over there." Or, "Oh, I put them back." You're a grown man, a father of 2, and still... Karina, please stop. Seriously. Just let me get ready in peace. Your keys are in the basket near the phone. Well, thank you very much. Anton, stop making a martyr out of yourself and finish eating already. And the owl. There was no owl. But there was one. It had giant glowing eyes. Olya sprung up from the chair and placed her hands on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers the size of an apple each. Last year you said the baba in your closet, and now this owl, which they have a nifty little button here, that tells you about what those things are, because it's Slavic lore based. So, baba in Slavic folklore, nocturnal spirit used by parents to threaten their ill-behaving children. But I saw it. Olya shifted her gaze back and forth from Dad to me, but couldn't find any support. Have you thought about befriending it? You know, like feeding it with imaginary mice? See, that's a dick move. Don't bully our girl. She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's little. Olya pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted in reply and left, ringing with the keys he just found. A minute had passed and the theme song from The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. It was stored on an incredibly worn-out cassette tape, which Dad already had to glue together once. It's so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together, for example. But how do you fix a relationship? Mom moved to the living room and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Olya had trouble sleeping ever since we moved to the house. She would toss and turn or curl up into a ball under the blanket. Sometimes she would jump up in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped to take her mind off all the troubles we had with the move and our parents. Jesus. So uncomfortable. And then Olya said she saw the giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Olya refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that the owl was just one of her nightmares. After tonight, I was unsure what to make of my sister's words, what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? And the answer is yes, actually. Just last night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect in my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of a new term. My imagination drew long, twisting hallways that led to a classroom full of kids, but all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures, cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces, and a pair of eyes blinked inside those holes. It was as if some completely different creature were looking at me from behind the flat black silhouettes. Their cruel glares, filled with icy sneers, made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down, stomp on me with their bloodied shoes? The damn school can burn for all I care. I just wish for anything to happen to it, doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who are just itching to smack me on the head try to trip me up, think of new offensive name for me worse than the previous one. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider or some sort of monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I need a drink. My throat's tightening up. Huh. Whew. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Olya begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagine Mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You've got the wrong number." Or, "Anton is not around." Anton is not around. I imagine my future classmates lying in their beds just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom, which is so cute. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with a neighbor's drill, mumbled with a TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. Our current house, though I can't call it a new, was completely different. It was silent and easygoing during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners on the closet cobwebs and under stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my deceased family, with their ashen eyes, were hanging on the walls in the place of my drawings. The floor was squeaking, rusty drains were moaning, the attic was accompanied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody. And then I realized it was, in fact, hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Which the background noise shifted with it is so fantastic. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. It was mixed in with the sound of the wind, of the creaking old house, and my thoughts, too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like someone is playing it there amidst the cold, snowy night, right? Which, this is such a pretty scene that it relaxes you into a sense of false security. Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out with the dark forest as their backdrop. They jumped around, basked in moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around and crawled on all fours. Stories about werewolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circled around holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment, then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. And then this happens. I'm so uncomfortable. Suddenly the music has stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place, and, I could swear, pierced me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with great leaps. Do not like. It glided on squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch-black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like a bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back toward the bed. They saw me. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guest move and scrape around, looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right, then circled around the house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into bed and covered myself with a blanket as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remembered the funeral, my grandma lying there, hands crossed on her chest, her facial features sharp like that of a tin doll. Ants running up and down the legs of chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up her head and pulling her up her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. I was chanting the spell she taught me throughout the whole procedure. And now, lying under the blanket and listening to the squeaks and howls, I was repeating the same words. On the island of Bouillon, underneath the blemished sun, in the sea of color blue, stands a cabin made of wood. There lay lard and ashen hair for the spawn from devil's lair to feast and always leave alone, God's faithful servant named Anton. Evil leave this house must, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like a hangman. And then the night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. The sounds scratched at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone were scratching at the front door, hurriedly clawing at the wood, demanding to be let in. This kid needs a therapist, right though? The door was shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remember him staring at the forest intently as if he was looking for someone. Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them, and drilled the door with my eyes. It was so flimsy and weak before the might of darkness. And then... the doorknob twitched slightly. Then it turned halfway, once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted once more, and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear. My wet fingers clutched the blanket. The door creaked and opened. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now you'll see. The door was wide open. The darkness writhed inside the carnivorous mouth of a doorway. Tony. It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. I was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of my room, waiting for the one who weaved it to come out of the gaping black hole. Tony. My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, ready to exhale a desperate scream. Before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, "Tony, you asleep?" My sister's pale face protruded from the thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief. "Olya, I'm not sleeping. Did something happen?" Olya frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign that she was about to cry. "It's there again, staring at me." "Shoo her away, Tony, please." "I'm so scared." The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Olya down. "It was just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's going to harm you." Olya sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure myself? "I have an idea. Let's go to your room and watch the video, Sleeping Beauty, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have this scary bird?" That question took me by surprise. "Alright, let's watch Cinderella." My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy. What was that? What studied me with its eyes while dancing feverishly under the moon? Oh God. The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by my grandma's old chants. It couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long ashen hair. "Tony, you coming?" Yes, just a moment." That got me so good the first time. I'm so mad that I was muted. I was screaming. This animation is beautiful. With this art style, like Jesus. That's why I didn't want to laugh at Olya and her owl in the morning. Who could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? We don't know anyone around here. So persistent. I felt extremely unsettled just from a silly thought that our morning guests could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide. In the closet. Under the table. Behind the curtains where Olya always hides. "Tony, come here." I felt like kettlebells were tied to my feet, but still dragged them toward the hallway. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like frost and worry. My mom always winced and grumbled the moment she saw patrol cars, worse than bandits. At the moment, though, she looked somewhat confused. "Hello." The senior officer, who wore a grim expression, nodded. "A boy had gone missing yesterday. His name's Vova." "Look at this, please. Have you seen him?" The policeman held out a photograph to me. There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school, pictured with a wall carpet as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a wide smile. "No, I haven't." "Are you sure? Look closely." "Where would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house. Well, maybe you've seen him from the window? That's right, your windows look straight at the forest, don't they? The window. No, I haven't seen anything. I see. He sounded tired, but his eyes, his stare long and heavy, was full of suspicion. I squirmed unwittingly under the weight of guilt, which his giant shadow cast over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the stairway, and the cracks in the ceiling, which I haven't noticed before for some reason. How do you like your new place, by the way? Getting used to it? Bit by bit. It's just our little daughter misses the city a lot. Misses the city, huh? Have the locals been treating you well? Yes, everything is alright, thank you. Policeman pierced through me one more time with his gray eyes. My head started spinning. Can I help you somehow? I asked that in a shaky voice to look like a polite boy and to end this unpleasant conversation sooner. Now that I think about it, you look just like one of my nephews, little fella. He's a witty boy around your age, wears the same type of goggles, haha. Always engrossed in reading those mystery novels. Told me he wants to enroll in police school when his family visited this summer. Wanted to help other people just like me, see? I felt uncomfortable, as if a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me. You know what? Little boys like you should stay at home, steer away from trouble. The times have changed so much. Mom interjected in a cold voice. You don't say. Ah, well then. What grade are you in, Tony boy? 6th. Have you made any friends here so far? Not yet. I'm going to school for the first time after the break. Ah, then I'll have to give you my number just in case. Call me if you have any new info. The policemen were gone along with their shadows and the cheap smell of cologne and the photo of a smiling boy. His face still stood before my eyes. I wonder what it was like for him, being all alone there. For some reason, I thought of the forest swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel? And what would my parents do if I'd gone missing? Would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other like they always do and forget about me eventually? Mom, this Vova, did he go missing in our forest? Seems like it, poor child. I looked out the window at the road. The police Uaz, it's a type of car, drove off toward the village. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was splitting off old paint from the windowsill. I remembered all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I've read this summer. What? Contemporary Russian original or translated teen mystery books. Okay. Your average boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries there. They looked for clues, spied on suspicious people, and after a set of amazing adventures, bam, solved any complicated case. They became local celebrities and must have made their parents very proud. I noticed a trail of policemen's footprints that led to the forest. And then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Maybe I'll find that lost boy. And I'll get a reward. Olya will be so happy. And not only Olya, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll even save us from the D word. Dick! I fantasized about buying Olya a Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself. And a whole bunch of Kinder Surprise. When was the last time our parents bought us any toys? Last autumn, I think. My dad had lost his job at the time, and there's that annoying song about it. I had little to no idea what was the accountant's job like. They count money, I think. Neighbors used to envy us. But nowadays, Mom and Dad barely had money to afford sweets, and Dad would always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Olya. Sometimes I gave her my share too, 'cause he's a good big brother. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a pipsqueak. I couldn't wait to go out, looking for clues. I'm going outside. Yeah, right. You want the police to go around with your photograph next? The forest is so thick. What if the boy got snatched up by wild animals, or something even worse? Even worse echoed through the hallway. I won't go far, I'll stay away from the forest. Did you hear what I said, or should I repeat myself? Better go pack your school bag or play with Olya. Sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant that the argument was over and Mom had the last word. Anton, I'll whip you if you make a single step out the door. Believe me. It was difficult to lie to Mom, but there was no other way for me to run away from home. Mom, something's wrong with the TV. The picture is dim and there are stripes all over the screen. Mom's face became visibly distorted. Ah, you're killing me here. So you have you had enough of shooting those stupid ducks now? Told you the kinescope will go dim because of your console. Where will we find a TV technician in this hole, huh? Maybe it's just the settings? Please go see for yourself. Strange, it worked fine in the morning. Maybe the snowfall caused it? Mom rubbed her hands clean on her apron and went to Olya's room. I opened the front gate and went into the field. Carefully so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half of the distance toward the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remember my nightly fears. I saw those silhouettes around here. They were jumping around, holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head all on its own. The light of day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there, distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me, and a barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Everything was silent. So silent, I felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Olya. The time reached its limit, a one-way trip that ended at the forest's piney stockade. Sometimes silence was much scarier than any scream. My parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Olya turned to stone listening to them. But then always came the ringing silence. Our apartment became numb a couple of days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, or spent time together, almost like all of it was a previous life. When they kissed, with Olya present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day it all changed. There's footsteps right here. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if the fire broke up, and our parents were hurriedly packing our belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who, though? From the people with dead, cold eyes who sometimes visited us in our previous home? The eyes that only saw balls of worms on the black ground and everything. And somewhere far away a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions, and looked around. There were only me, this white field, and the wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. It looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered under the snow like fat snakes. Rotten leaves and coniferous needles froze in the ice. Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fences. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Were they protecting the forest? Or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging from one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow, and when I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to the police? Their senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Casanova from the TV show called The Streets of Brooklyn Lights. He was also always anxious, with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Will this mitten help them find the lost boy? Yo, Boba. Jesus. I heard a distant shout. Looked like it came from the river. I don't like the background noise. As if the trees were calling out to someone. Oh dear. Someone was standing there behind the trees, hiding. Where? Where are they hiding behind the trees? I don't see shit. I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still. Something was unsettling about that figure. Where? Its stillness, how it was bent unnaturally toward the ground. Where? Its blackness. There's no one there, just branches and roots. It's all just my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wings loudly. Ha! A shadow split from the tree and disappeared from my sight. I looked away for just a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. It was right here. So it was my imagination after all. Silence regained for a painfully long time. I don't think I should grab the mitten this time. My muscles were tightly sprung, my heart was beating somewhere in my throat. Any noise, any little movement, any small whisper from the thicket and I'd sprint. But nothing of the sort happened. I looked at the mitten once more. I took it last time, let's do this one. Lumps of snow fell from the branches, and that reminded me of the sound of soil makes when they throw it into the pit on top of a casket. I immediately felt dizzy, as if I was balancing at a precipice. I slowly backed away from my finding. It felt like the moment I touched it, a trap would spring, and the mouse would get caught. Someone stepped on the ice behind me, close by. My inner voice whispered, "Save yourself, run." My nerves got the better of me. I ran, burying my head in my shoulders. Oh god, someone was chasing me from the darkness, breaking pine branches, closing the distance with giant leaps. Snow was slowing me down. Crazy thoughts flew through my mind. I'll get caught. They'll eat me. I'll get dragged into the thicket. I'll be gone forever. But there was more one voice, probably one of reason. It gave me strength and spurred me on. You can do it. Don't stop. I heard an animal roar behind me. It was so loud my ears went numb. It felt like the sound had come from a pack of hungry beasts rather than a single one. Their nostrils sucked in freezing air. They sensed my fear. Two giant wings flapped above my head. An enormous shadow flew over the clearing. A hoot, a wheeze. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the dried up raspberry bush, from twisted pines, from under the windfall. Hurry, run, don't look back. It felt like I was inside a nightmare. The snowy clearing became viscous like quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my leg from the mushy trap just to be caught in a new one, even deeper than before. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow ever this sticky? I screamed in horror after realizing this wasn't snow. Someone or something in the snow pile was clutching my pants. I gathered all my strength and rushed forward. The pressure on my leg was gone, my boots slipped out of the hole, and my soles were on hard surface again. I reached a clear path with one jump, and from there ran to my house. Its gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. The house was my line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings and the creatures that were hidden under the snow. I tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks, as if a dog was striking the wood with its paws, demanding to be let in so it could escape the cold. I hadn't noticed these marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ears was much louder than my surroundings. I could hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in our front yard, and Mom had locked the door? Drowning in fear, I pulled on a doorknob and it obediently gave way. I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. Porch planks creaked as my pursuers ascended the stairs. My fingers slipped off the lock and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it between the barbs. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitiful, flimsy barrier that was probably less useful than blankets. Wheezing breath reached into the house and crashed at me in waves. I'm losing my breath. It smelled like of pine and sweat. My mom peeked out of the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly didn't you understand when I told you to never slam the door? I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone and the breath was too. If there was someone in the first place, of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from Mom, my fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring. And with it the last bit of my strength I had left. My legs gave way. I propped myself up against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression had changed immediately. The cold mask of strictness and detachment was gone. Mom looked at the same as before all those quarrels. She finally saw my condition, my wet pants plastered with snow. Where have you been? What did I tell you, huh? I told you to stay home. Am I nothing to you, too? I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her like when I was very little and wanted her to cuddle me. But Mom regained her composure fast and put on her usual face. Just hold your child! Her eyes shined like steel. Her voice rang out. Your dad can't find his cigarettes. Be honest, did you snatch them? Were you smoking in secret? There was someone chasing me, I thought. I stuttered as soon as I started explaining myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned toward me and sniffed my clothes like a bee searching for the smell of tobacco. My throat is killing me. I might have to take a break and pick this up later. Cause holy shit, my throat hurts, man. So yeah, I'm gonna... What? I hit a button and it did things. But anyways, yes. I'm going to call it there. Because my throat hurts. Just from reading. It's not even anything bad, I don't think. It's just from, like, talking out loud so much. So I will try to finish that later. It probably won't be as long, and I'll probably splice it in with another indie game. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow.